Drivin Ivan here, checking out the Opel Ascona, also known as the 1900. Well, Opel is probably best known for the GT, but this one, you might be saying to yourself, looks similar to a Manta, if you know Opel. And there's a good reason for that, because basically it shares the same chassis and just the panels and the glass are a bit different. Otherwise, they're just about twins. From this angle, you can see that those hood scoops are fake, but man, do they look cool. Pretty cool Opel badge there too. Nice. And of course, the same emblem on the grille here. Love that. Cool 70s look. Yeah. The look of this Opel 1900 just really made me want to have it, and I actually bought the car without even driving it. There's just something really appealing about 70s sedans that have been sort of hot rodded a bit. Check out the fender skirts and the XXR wheels. It just has that look, along of course with the boy racer wing. So anyway, I fell in love with its looks, and I think it's just really one of those great classic looking 70s coupes like the Ford Capri that it competes with, especially when they're souped up like this one is. Notice that this one has no door handles. That's because it has these crazy poppers, which basically you click the switch on the remote and they open up. But I'm not really sure why they put them on, because to me it's kind of silly. But anyway, the interior does look pretty stock compared to other ones I've seen on the interweb. You get these bouncy, springy 70s era sport seats. I guess they'd be called sport seats back then. And you can release to get into the back here. And you've got actually a pretty big back seat with some aftermarket speakers on the shelf there. But first and foremost, it is a coupe, and it's made for sensible transportation. So therefore it seats 5 people in relative 70s comfort. Inside you get power windows that actually work. That's pretty cool. Even when the car's off, that's not so cool. That's probably a wiring issue there. But it does have a nice full gauge cluster with big tachometer and speedometer, and also a fuel gauge and some warning lights too, and a temperature gauge as well. I do like this vintage wood steering wheel, even though it's got some issues in it, as does the dash. And quite frankly, it's missing some things, it looks like. But like controls for the heater and such. But it is a driver, and it's actually a 4-speed shifting car, which is nice. 4-speed and reverse, of course. And got a console with some storage, a real handbrake, which is nice. And look, more speakers too. This one down here is a switch for the fan. I'm not sure what this other switch is for. Maybe hazard lights. At any rate, there you have it. A nice, simple, sporty 70s coupe interior, and seating for up to 5. The trunk is actually pretty large for a car of this size, I think. And for some reason there's an extra battery back here. Haven't really figured that one out yet, but there's also this amplifier system and quite a bit of wiring back there too. So I think there's definitely some custom work that went into this one, and hopefully it was done well. I haven't really gotten into it much. Well, it's called the Opel 1900 Ascona, so you know that it's a 1.9-liter 4-cylinder engine, and it's to be a Weber carburetor there. As stock, it was good enough for a 0 to 60 of 12.7, and horsepower was at 90, with torque being a bit higher at 111 pound-feet of torque. So that's pretty good. Top speed was close to 100 miles an hour. There's also an aftermarket radiator, and looks to be pretty well sorted. So we don't know too much about Opel in America. Well, Opel was actually founded, and they made sewing machines and bicycles way back in 1862, and they came out with the first car of their own design in 1902, when the stock market was active in 1929. They went public, and GM ended up owning a lot of it, and then a couple of years later they owned the entire company until last year, when a big company from France who owns Peugeot and Citroën took over. So they've had quite a history with GM. In fact, many cars are sold under the Vauxhall or Opel badge overseas, and they're GM cars. But that partnership ended, so I think we'll probably see sort of the same thing with some Citroëns and Peugeots rebadged as Opels and also Vauxhalls. So there you have the history, and basically they sold these Opels from about 1971 to 1975 in American dealerships at Buick dealers. So you can get an Opel GT, which is the sports car version, which many of you are familiar with. It's the baby Corvette, as they call it, because it looks like a mini Corvette, of course. And it's kind of a cool looking car. So most Opels that people see in America are the Opel GT. But the Manta is also quite popular, and I think less popular is this one, the Ascona, called the 1900 and 1900A for this particular car here in America. But really what drew me to it was the fact that it just looks so cool, and there's just something about these early 70s, mid 70s cars like the Ford Capri, and I just really like the look of them, and this one especially. Sometimes you just fall in love with the way a car looks, and you have to have it, and that's what happened to me here. I bought this one sight unseen, as I said. Not really a good idea, because, you know, there's always some things that are a little bit different when it gets here, like the quirky door poppers. But again, that's the cool look with no door handles, so you have to make a sacrifice there. And maybe some wiring snafus in this one, but hopefully I'll get them sorted out here. It is pretty cool to drive. In terms of the drive, well, it's a stick shift. You've got the pretty revvy engine. It comes up with some nice noise. And the view there over the hood with the scoops, you feel like you're a 70s rally champion who actually won the 1974 World Rally in an Opel just like this one. So that's pretty cool. There's your rally history. That to me makes it even more desirable. And there you have it. It's just the look, basically the look, and the fact that it's just a cool 70s sports car, sport coupe, and well, love at first sight, and there you have it. So the Opel Ascona, or 1900 as it's known in America. Definitely a cool car, don't you think? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Don't forget to check out all of my other car reviews and videos, music videos, literal video for Chris Isaac's Wicked Game, also my music videos as well, and disc golf videos. I'm Drivin Ivan.